Palestine, the Israeli occupation army has killed over 45,500 Palestinians since it began its genocidal operation against Gaza. In South Korea, more than 68,000 flight reservations have been cancelled after the plane crash that left at least 179 people dead. In Argentina, President Javier Milei renewed for the second time the 2023 general budget to be used for the fiscal year 2025. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Israeli occupation army has killed over 45,500 Palestinians since it began its genocidal operation against the Gaza Strip in October 2023. Health authorities added that the Israeli aggression has left more than 108,000 people injured, most of them children, women, and the elderly. Emergency services in Gaza warned that they are still unable to reach many victims and corpses trapped under the rubble or scattered along the roads of the coastal enclave. At the same time, Israeli troops continue to block the entry of humanitarian aid and the movement of civil defense teams. In this context, during the last 450 days of Israel's genocidal campaign against Palestinians in Gaza, Israel has used 88,000 tons of explosives against Palestinians. The Gaza Information Office reported that the Israeli regime has carried out 9,973 massacres in the Gaza Strip since last October 2023. And on Monday, Palestinian medical sources reported the death of one-month-old Ali al-Batran at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital due to the cold weather. He's the twin brother of the baby Yuma al-Batran, who died on Sunday due to the low temperatures in a tent in Deir al-Bala in central Gaza. The enclave's government media office said that the death toll due to the bitter cold and frost among displaced Palestinians living in tents increased to 7, a number that is expected to rise as the authority added heavy rains are expected to continue in the coming days, as well as frost waves and winter cold. In this context, Palestinian authorities hold the Israeli occupation fully responsible for the deterioration of the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, as well as the U.S. administration and the countries that support and participate in the genocide, such as the United Kingdom, Germany, and France.
What is their future? This child stopped going to school and the others also stopped going to school. There are no schools. What future do these children have? What is their fault?
Because of the cold and lack of blankets and bedding, the child died because of the cold, from the cold. This tent is not suitable for living in. Living in this tent is like living on the street.
And in Palestine, relatives of the director of the Kamal Adwan Hospital, Husam Abu Safa, demanded his release after being captured by Israeli troops last Friday. According to family members and colleagues, the Israeli regime accused the doctor of being a Hamas agent and insists he must therefore be interrogated. The complainants stressed that Abu Safa was forced to undress and was then beaten with an electric cable before being taken to an unknown location. Police believe that the doctor became a target of the Zionist regime after publishing videos in recent weeks giving details of the situation in the hospital where he worked, which is currently unable to reopen due to the Israeli siege. Meanwhile, displaced Gazans living in tents hope to see an end to the war that has devastated their territory and wish to return home in 2025 after a truly painful year.
2024 was the most difficult year. I lost many loved ones, including my father and friends, since the beginning of the year. I hope the new year will be much better, filled with peace, goodness, and stability. I wish for the return of security and safety and for the war to end.
I want you to convey my message to the free and humane world. Exert pressure on Netanyahu to finalize a prisoner exchange deal, to free our courageous prisoners from the Israeli occupation's prisons, and to allow displaced people to return to their homes.
On Monday, the United Nations Security Council will address recent escalation between Israel and Yemen amid warnings of growing regional instability. The Tel Aviv delegation called for the meeting just 5 days after Israeli air raids on Sana'a International Airport, Red Sea ports, and Yemeni power stations. Following last Thursday's bombings, the UN body confirmed numerous casualties, including at least 3 dead and several wounded UN workers. The attack on the airport took place while World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus was on site. Now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In South Korea, more than 68,000 flight reservations have been canceled in the last hours after the plane crash that left at least 179 people dead on Sunday. The Management Support Center of the South Korean airline Jeju Air has announced that canceled tickets are split between 33,000 domestic passengers and more than 35,000 internationals. The company also reported on an accident where, after an alleged landing gear failure during takeoff, more than 20 passengers out of a total 161 refused to board a replacement Boeing 737-800 aircraft. South Korea's Jeju Air suffered a fall of more than 88% on the Seoul Stock Exchange following the world's worst civil aviation accident 2024, for which families of the victims are seeking the airline's compensation.
The only way for bereaved families to feel that Jeju Air has done everything it can is to help bereaved families financially. Why? Because a head of a family passed away, parents of a family passed away. There are only kids left, and how can they live on their own? This is something neither the province officials nor the government can help with.
The plenary meeting of the Central Committee of the Labour Party concluded in North Korea after taking stock of the successes achieved in the country during the year 2024. The meeting was led by Kim Jong-un, General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, and was attended by full members as well as deputies and officials of the party's Central Committee. During the expanded meeting, they need to take drastic measures to overcome the negative elements hindering the normal development of the state and to work out a plan of struggle to implement the resolution of the 2025 Party Congress for the 8th term of the party's Central Committee was emphasized. And in the Chinese Autonomous Region of Xinjiang, tunneling was completed on Monday for the Tianshan-Shengli Tunnel, the world's longest expressway tunnel built through the challenging mountains. The project is a key phase of the Urumqi-Yuli Expressway and opens a new link between the region's southern and northern parts, reducing the driving time across the middle section of the Tianshan Mountains from several hours to about 20 minutes once operational. The construction of the 22.13-kilometer tunnel, which began on April 2020, has faced several challenges such as extreme cold, strong seismic activity, and strict environmental requirements. The expressway is expected to be fully completed and open to traffic in 2025. And in northwest India, farmers' protests led to the cancellation of more than 150 trains and roadblocks on dozens of highways. Local media report that hundreds of farmers are rallying in 20 districts of Punjab, state known as the breadbasket of India. Demonstration was also accompanied by a strike which has caused the closure of stores and factories all over Punjab. Members of two major agricultural unions demand that the central government comply with legal guarantees to fix a minimum price for their crops, pensions for farmers, and the clearing of charges against several demonstrators. And Ethiopian authorities reported a truck plummeted into a river, which caused at least 71 deaths and others injured in the southern Sidama region, Bona district. The Sidama Police Commission Traffic Prevention and Control Directorate confirmed that 68 men and 3 women lost their lives. The Regional Communications Office indicated Sunday that survivors were being treated at the Bona General Hospital. Meanwhile, the region's traffic police stressed that the truck was overloaded, which probably triggered the crash. Meanwhile, in South Africa, the National Joint Operations and Intelligence Structure described as complex Monday's ongoing operation to rescue illegal miners in Stilfontein. In a communique, the government authority pointed out that the death of the mine is one of the aspects that directly affect the way the work is carried out, adding that the rescue team recommended that the necessary resources and experience be acquired, taking into account the practicality and risks involved. It is estimated that several hundred illegal miners remain in the mine to avoid arrest, as a result of a police operation aimed at eliminating this phenomenon, which is not only damaging the country's economy, it is also a security problem for communities. And the German government accused Elon Musk of trying to influence the national election after the tech billionaire called Chancellor Olaf Scholz an incompetent fool and backed the country's far-right Alternative for Germany party.
It is indeed the case that Elon Musk is trying to influence the federal election through his statements. As I said, he is free to express his opinion. One does not have to share this opinion now. I think it's good to point out once again in principle that a voting recommendation is being made here for a party that is being monitored by the Office for the Protection of the Constitution on suspicion of being right-wing extremist. And that has already been recognized as being right-wing extremist in parts.
Belgian authorities announced to ban selling disposable vapes as of January 1st because of health and environmental grounds. Belgium takes the lead by pursuing such measures for the sake of youngsters' health. The policy is part of a national anti-tobacco plan which aims at reaching a tobacco-free generation by 2040. Currently, younger users are prone to use the e-cigarettes for their variety of flavors. Nonetheless, experts argue vapes still contain nicotine and describe them as equally addictive as traditional tobacco cigarettes.
I use it to try and give up smoking a bit because I smoke cigarettes, but I think it's good that they're stopping the sale because there are a lot of young people who don't necessarily think about the consequences when they start.
The Alliance for a Tobacco-Free Society is very pleased with this ban on the sale of puffs, both for the environmental impact that these disposable electronic cigarettes have, because every time they are sold, a huge amount of waste is produced, but also to protect young people, given that puffs are mainly consumed by young people.
We now have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The President of Argentina, Javier Milei, renewed for the second time the 2023 general budget to be used for the fiscal year 2025. The government extended one more time what was the last budget approved during Alberto Fernandez's administration. The decision to use a 2-year-old budget for the year 2025 is part of Javier Milei's budget cuts, which have already caused the dismissal of more than 36,000 state employees, allegedly seeking to reduce state deficit to zero. Experts are sure that with an outdated budget, which does not reflect the latest inflationary trends, Milei's government will have to promote new adjustments and layoffs in the public administration. In Mexico, 11 clandestine graves containing the bodies of 15 men have been found in Chiapas, the site of a dispute between the Sinaloa and Jalisco drug cartels. The discovery was made during an operation in the city of La Concordia, the border between Mexico and Guatemala. In addition, 4 people were arrested with drugs and firearms. The state prosecutor's office reported that the operation was carried out in 2 different properties. In the first one, 3 bodies were found in 3 graves, and in the other one, 12 bodies were found in 8 graves. The conflict over drug routes, migrants, and arms trafficking has displaced more than 10,000 people in recent years, including Mexicans who have fled to Guatemala. And the Communications Division of the Government of Trinidad and Tobago issued a communique on Monday declaring a state of emergency due to increased criminal activity. In this regard, the official communication states that, pursuant to Section 8 of the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency Christine Carla Cangalo, Order of the Republic, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Commander-in-Chief, has, on the advice of the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic, declared a state of public emergency. The communique further specifies that the circumstances warranting the declaration of the public emergency are based on the advice of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service due to National Security Council of heightened criminal activity which endangers the public safety.
Over the last month or so, and in fact building up to this, the government has been concerned about the use of high-powered illegal firearms, high-caliber firearms, including automatic weapons that unfortunately scourge throughout the whole Caribbean region. And due to the high velocity and high caliber weapons, the 5.56 and the 7.62 caliber weapons, you're seeing that when the miscreants in our society, the criminal element, are utilizing these types of weapons, the AR-15s, the AK-47s, and indiscriminately shooting at persons, sometimes missing their targets and hitting innocent bystanders, there is very little chance of survival due to the velocity and the caliber of these weapons. This has been a major concern, not only for us here in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the whole CARICOM region.
In Bolivia, authorities maintained a state of emergency and red alert as a result of the rainy season in the city of La Paz. Paceño's Municipal Council approved a territorial law in the face of the emergency, a preventive regulation supported unanimously by the councilmen to face the disasters that may occur due to the rains. Likewise, the entity urged civil protection to take actions for the cleaning and maintenance of drains. In this regard, Municipal Mayor Ivan Arias stressed that economic and logistical resources are being mobilized in order to face the rainy season. And Panamanian authorities issue a warning of surveillance grounded in steady rainfalls, which will continue until the end of 2024. The National Civil Protection System advanced that the storm will batter several provinces with rainfalls and thunderstorms, and so the entity called for complying with the said preventive measures. The Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology announced that the weather conditions correspond to the intertropical convergence zone and low-pressure systems, which will produce winds with high humidity. Authorities urge people to keep posted to avoid crossing rivers or creeks and to stay away from areas vulnerable to landslides. And in Mayotte, city workers clean up the streets of the capital Mamoudzou after Cyclone Chito hit the territory in mid-December. After the passage of Cyclone Chito, several villages of the capital of Mayotte were flooded with all kinds of vegetation and household waste. But after 2 weeks, the cleaning of the street has begun with about 200 agents and 100 companies. From 7 a.m. local time, several main streets in the center of Mamoudzou were closed to traffic to facilitate the passage of the cleaning teams. However, residents are skeptical about the work being done, claiming it is due to the visit of French Prime Minister François Bayrou.
Yes, I think that's an objective. If we know how to take all the necessary decisions, that's a goal we have to set ourselves. So you say that there are lots of people who say it won't be possible. They may be right, but I know this category well. They're the ones who say we should give up. They're the ones who say it's not the same as Notre Dame. And God knows there have been some. And we believe, I believe, and we do believe, that we're here precisely to prove fate wrong. We're here precisely so that people don't stop at what seems possible.
On est là précisément pour que on s'arrête pas.
In Myanmar, ethnic Karen people, also known as Gazans, are celebrating the traditional New Year as the 2024 ends for them on December 30th. For the event, members of the community engage in activities such as dancing, singing, and praying for a good harvest in Pa'an, capital of the Karen state. These activities are part of their public holiday to wait for the Kajin New Year at Myanmar's national races village. The public holiday has been celebrated in Myanmar since 2009, allowing for the numerous Karen communities to join and celebrate their unique cultural identity. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.